It's another great day here on Flows Focus. Ready to have some fun? Oh boy, let's get after it, man. Remember how to contact me? I can be reached on Twitter at Flobo, and I can also be reached at KLRN, and that's via flow at klrn.com. Please do contact me. I love hearing. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to be traveling, so this particular show might not be as long as the other ones have been. However, I thought I'd make it kind of fun, and since we did Alabama for the first show, we'll look at Alaska first. And Alaska's a place where I travel nursed at. I was at Anchorage for a while, and then I went up to the tundra at Kotzebue. When they first told me Kotzebue, I said, Kotze who? But yeah, okay, it was really a lot of fun. Okay, so maybe you don't know, but Fairbanks is probably the coldest in Alaska. Valdez is absolutely a paradise, except that it gets the most snow and all off the roof. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's really thick. Okay, and Juneau is the capital. Yay, Juneau. Juneau is beautiful because it has the ice glaciers. They're just gorgeous to look at. But Juneau does get a whole lot of rain. Went to Alaska. I went over on the ferry, and one of the people that I met in Juneau was moving. She was going to go live in Anchorage. She said Juneau just got too much rain for her and she needed some sunshine. Anchorage has a very mild temperature for Alaska, very much like Washington State by the ocean. Okay, so let's see. So I went to Anchorage first. I lived in Big Lake, Alaska, and that was great. There was a lot of salmon fishing that I was able to do there. And first time I caught a salmon, I said, I've been fishing my whole life, but I've never caught a real fish until now. Wow. Fun. Okay. I don't know if you're aware of this either, but in America, the mainland, as they call it, for me, I only knew salmon as salmon. I didn't realize they had all kinds of different varieties of salmon, but I became very familiar with them. I'll tell you, there was so much salmon available. I smoked it, I did every way in the world, and really kind of almost got tired of salmon. In fact, it was no almost. I was tired of salmon. Burger sounded better than salmon. Ugh, salmon. So no more salmon after a point in time. My whole freezer was still full, and I did eat as much as I could, and I shared the rest before I left. But boy, I'm telling you, you can have all the salmon you want. Now I have a fun experience. When it happened, I wasn't too sure it was fun though. I had walked just a little bit and stopped and was fishing and caught a couple salmon. I just took the last one off. I looked across the bank, and lo and behold, I don't remember now how many grizzlies there were, but there was at least two standing up looking at me. And I decided right then and there that they could have the salmon. I was out of there, man, as quick as I could get. Although I did just walk. They didn't cause me any issues. I looked at them and told them, the salmon is yours. And I walked away and left the salmon for them. And I think they were happy with that. They didn't bother me. I did see some footprints, though, of bears that had bothered other people. So I'm just glad it wasn't me that they were going after. Some of those footprints were really big. Wow. Okay, so I lived up in Big Lake, and Big Lake's really a pretty place. I lived in a place where I had a tree, and honest to gosh, it had an angel tracing in it. The loons were my lullaby every night, and they woke me up every morning. Loons are a fascinating bird to study. They are the last ones to leave Alaska, and they're the first ones back to Alaska. And of course, you know their sound is so unique. One of the stories that they tell about loons is how the loons, well, they begged the Creator not to abandon them because everybody was getting so selfish. And so Creator said, you will sound like you do. You will keep the original language, and someday I will come back again. So that is one of the legends that I heard. Alaska is a great place to hear many legends. There are a lot of native people there, and whether you're in Anchorage or where I went later to Kotzebue, you're sure to hear a lot of stories. That was one of my favorite things. Excuse me, I think that frog seems to be setting very well in my throat today, and he just wants to say howdy. So, okay. So, after I worked for a year in Anchorage area. Now, maybe it was 6 months, not a year. Anyway, then I decided I wanted to go up on the tundra. You know, I heard things about the tundra and that Kotzebue place. Well, it had a strange name, but it sounded pretty neat. I really wanted to get to experience Alaska while I was there. So I went up to the tundra, had a great time as it turned out. The tundra is just amazing. I was on Kotzebue and we had telehealth there, so that meant that all the local villages called in what they were needing. They had these little clinics in remote areas of Alaska. We saw some sad things that happened because they didn't have the availability of a hospital, but as some of the doctors said, they had made the choice to stay there. So, you know, maybe that was part of the price. I don't know. I do know that I had a lot of fun in Alaska. The native people, to me, were very nice. There is a big, huge alcoholism problem there. They call it the Great Death. And they say that the Great Death kind of occurred because they stayed in the same place, but everything was changing around them. You see, they had lived there for at least 4,000 years, or at least their ancestors had, of course. They were the only ones of all the native people that weren't forced to relocate. They stayed where they were at. Kotzebue itself is 30 miles above the Arctic Circle. The Inupiaq are there, and the language that they speak besides English is known as Eskimo Aleut. Very interesting. It's a beautiful place. I used to sit in the restaurant where it had these big picture windows, and I would watch the seals at the sound just swimming and jumping. They were fascinating to see. Barrow is the northernmost part of Alaska. I got to speak to someone that worked up there. A lot of people work up there on the oil lines, and they really like it up there. The guy that I talked to said that sometimes you'll see two sunsets up there in a Barrow. Got to travel a lot too when I was in Alaska. One of the places that I remember was Cheyenne Hot Springs, Alaska. It was really fascinating. It was just, they had this wonderful mineral bath outside. If you can imagine going out in the winter in Alaska and going into hot springs, it was such an experience. Oh, it just felt so great. They also had inside ones, but I actually liked the outside ones. Now, on the way to Cheyenne, Springs, we had to pass through Fairbanks, and Fairbanks is known as the capital of Northern Lights. We were going at a good time. We stopped, and the Northern Lights started coming down to us. And I told my friend that was with me, "You're my witness if these Northern Lights come any closer or not." So then I whistled once, and they actually came closer. Whistled a second time, and they came right above our car. And there is a legend in Kotzebue, and the legend is that if you whistle 3 times, the Northern Lights will take you with them. They were right on our car. I told my friend, "I am not going to whistle again," and I didn't either. I thought that was kind of funny. You never know. Inupiaq Native people are the main ones in that area. A couple of great things that I loved about Alaska is there's no snakes, killer bees, or termites. But there's also not very many cows or horses or anything like that. There's no state income tax. In fact, you get paid to live in Alaska. So if you live a year there, you'll get a check-in. Kind of fun. Alaska has 3 military bases. Fort Greely, which is around Delta Junction. Fort Richardson, which is in Anchorage. And there's another fort located near Fairbanks. Wainwright, I think, is the fort's name. Yeah, you do get paid, as I mentioned before. It's called a permanent fund dividend. That is something that every native person there really looks forward to. It's so diverse in Alaska, and I love being up where the native people were. In Kotzebue, they call it the heart of Alaska. It's not really the scenic part, although the sound is gorgeous, and the sky when the sun sets is absolutely beautiful. It sets in strips. It's got different colors, and it just looks gorgeous. Okay, and let's see what else can I think of to tell you about Alaska. Maybe would be unique. They said that the first time that Europeans came in contact with Alaskans was 1826. They said 2 British men came to the Barrow area and they renamed it Barrow. One of the unique things about their language is there's a lot of K's and Q's. Q is very much used in their language. Oh, and also there is a lot of different words for snow because there are many different types of snow. Ice, too. If you think ice is just one kind, you'd be very surprised in Alaska as ice takes many forms there. I mentioned the North Slope. Barrow is home to the largest oil reserve in the Arctic. Mentioned about the 2 sunsets. Let's see. Told you about the military base. So maybe you'd like to know that Alaska became the 49th state in 1959. Alaska was acquired by U.S. in 1867 by United States Secretary of State William Seward. It was bought from Russia. He paid a very inexpensive, just cents per acre for Alaska. Some believe the land had nothing to offer, so it was just a waste. That is, until gold was discovered. The gold rush began. 1890s. Jukum Joe discovered Alaska. Joe Juneau. The capital, as I mentioned, is Juneau. The nickname of Alaska is the last frontier and the land of the midnight sun. The tallest mountain in North America is there. It's called Mount McKinley. It's gorgeous too. First time I fell in love with Alaska was when I was traveling over on the ferry, and I went out on the deck and I saw the midnight sun on the water. And oh, that was just so gorgeous. I thought, oh, and I just, my breath, I couldn't hardly breathe by the awesomeness of it. No, that's something that I used to always wonder about people. I'd ask people that went to Alaska how it was, and they'd get this faraway look in their eyes, and they'd go, "Oh, it's awesome." I always wondered what was wrong with them. Now, when people ask me what Alaska is like, I go, "Oh, it's awesome," and I get that faraway look in my eyes. But however, now I understand why and where that faraway look comes from. Became medevac trained. I enjoyed that. I worked in the emergency room, and a lot of the things that I saw were alcoholism and cold injuries, a lot of hypothermia. We had blankets, of course. One of the places that I really enjoyed visiting was when we did a health fair. We flew in a small plane, and when we got there, the pilot admitted to a few of us that he had landed the plane by memory. The snow was so thick he couldn't see to land the plane. But at any rate, we stayed at the high school, I believe it was, but we got a tour of the little town. Now, the little town was called Kobuk. It was the place where you can find jade in Alaska. They had little shacks that they call stores. It was even smaller than Kotzebue was. So, a little more about Alaska. Dog mushing used to be the main form of transportation, but then the other vehicles took over, but not cars. With Kotzebue, you cannot get into Kotzebue except by plane or if you happen to be on one of the ships that's transporting things in. It's very unique. I can say that for it. 5% of the state is covered by glaciers. It's just a gorgeous place to go. Arkansas has the northernmost point in which is Barrow, the easternmost point, the Aleutians, and the westernmost point, which is also the Aleutians in the United States. So that's kind of interesting. And Rhode Island could fit into Alaska many, many times over. It's just an incredible place. You would never get tired of Alaska. It's called the last frontier, and it really is. It has 6,640 miles of coastline, which includes islands. There it has 33,904 miles of shoreline between the islands and the mainland. It has more than 70 active volcanoes. On March 1964, North America's strongest recorded earthquake happened at 9.2. Rocked a whole lot central of Alaska. Of the strongest earthquake we recorded in the world, 3 have occurred in Alaska. Most of America's salmon, crab, halibut, and herring come from Alaska. Nearly 1/3 of Alaska is Arctic Circle. So if you don't go to the Arctic Circle, you haven't seen the heart of native land there. The state's largest city is Anchorage, and Fairbanks is second. Even in Anchorage, you can see moose and bears. When I worked there, we had twin moose that we would watch sometimes. You always see some type of wildlife there. That's one of the reasons that I absolutely love that state. I highly recommend it for travels. If you get the chance to go to Alaska, that's one place you sure don't want to miss. So jump aboard a train or a bus or the one that will get you there, the airplane, and have a fun, safe trip. And if you do go, make sure and contact me. Let me know where you go and what you did. There's so much to explore there.
Everybody wants the American dream.
We can be right 999 times, but that one time we're wrong, a lot of people can die.
The vast majority of Empire Shield soldiers either grew up in the city or right outside the city. So they have a vested interest. They're protecting their backyard, their families, their friends. We form up here at Fort Hamilton early in the morning. All the soldiers do their PCIs, PCCs, draw their weapons, do sensitive items check, accountability, and then we all convoy over in Suburbans to all our different mission sites in New York City. So that would include the new Path World Trade Center, where we have our mission sites, Grand Central Station, Penn Station, Port Authority Bus Terminal, JFK Airport, LaGuardia Airport, bridges and tunnels here in New York City.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
You don't know what you don't prevent, but the fact that New York City hasn't had a major terrorist attack since 9/11, I think, is due to many reasons, but I think one of them is a strong counterterrorism efforts, unified effort with law enforcement, and I know we're a part of that. So I think as long as everybody goes home safely and there's no terrorist attack, I think that is a success. The future of the task force, will really depend on the threat, and the world seems to be more dangerous than it has been. It seems to be getting more dangerous every year. So I think as long as we can continue to add value and to assist our partner agencies in detecting terrorism, I think the future for the task force looks pretty bright.
And I can remember right after 9/11, there was a lot of talk, a lot of major corporations and banks, thinking, gee, should we move out of New York City if it's such a big terrorist target? And commuters coming in felt, comfortable seeing National Guard soldiers, and they still continue to feel safe.
Terrorist attacks, extremists has been in decline. They continue to be. It seems that the worst that's happening right now is the liberals are rioting. Well, and also, of course, all the world situation. Crazy little dwarf in North Korea shot another missile. This one landed very close to Russia. Trump said, we stand behind Japan 100%. China could squeeze most of North Korea's exports go out through China. Do you think that President Trump should push China harder to do this? While we are on the subject of President Trump, should he request the Department of Justice to reopen the Hillary Clinton investigation? What do you think? Liberals are sure doing about face, aren't they? Him fired, but not by President Trump. Is there any facts, any place, anywhere, anyhow, indicating that Russia interfered with? Since Hillary Clinton sold the uranium interest to Russia, I would think they would much more prefer to have her in office. Maybe they can get some other good deals out of her. Have you ever checked into all her dealings in Arkansas? Next week we'll look at Arizona because it's the next alphabetical one. However, the week after that, we'll be looking at Arkansas, and I'll be in Arkansas. At that point, I might share some of these misdeeds that I remember the most that she with and actually did. Shame on her. But nothing that she does at this point in time. I would think they would much more prefer to have her in office. Maybe they can get some other good deals out of her. Have you ever checked into all her dealings in Arkansas? Next week we'll look at Arizona because it's the next alphabetical one. However, the week after that, we'll be looking at Arkansas, and I'll be in Arkansas. At that point, I might share some of these misdeeds that I remember the most that she with and actually did. Shame on her. But nothing that she does at this point in time. I really think Mark Twain had the right idea. He said, patriotism is supporting your country all the time and your government when it deserves it. I believe that's true. Very true. I like this one by Donald Trump, too, because he's in a position where he probably sees this. One of the key problems today is that politics is such a disgrace. Good people don't go into government. Might be something to be said for that. It is to be regretted that the rich and powerful too often bend the acts of government to their own selfish purposes. What's sad, though, is we probably will never have anyone that's poor or middle class become president. If we did again, I think it might make a big difference in this country. No man is good enough to govern another man without the other's consent. Abraham Lincoln. They have some pretty good ones. At any rate, when I was in Dominica, I saw this sign on one of the transit vans that said, I love my country, it's my government I can't stand. I used to feel that way before President Trump
became the president. How about you? Are you a little bit more satisfied now or not as satisfied? Let me know. You can reach me at flo@klrnradio.com. There is not a space between KLRN and radio. And you can also reach me on my Twitter account, and my handle is Flobo. So please contact me so that you can answer that question. I appreciate that. I love hearing from you. Thanks. Now would probably be a good time to give you an update on Eagle Angels. We're doing good. We sure could use some help, though. We got in a bunch of soldiers, so we need some packages and cards for them. We'd love to have you join us and help us out there. We also really use cards for our veterans, and all of our teams would love to have you, so please come and join us. We'd really appreciate it. If you want to help, you can send things to me, and I'll make sure the soldiers get them. Can't think of anything else on that right now. I told you last week about the different teams. I hope you got to hear that. If you do have any questions about that, you know how to contact me. Flo@klrnradio.com, and Twitter, it would be Flobo. All right, good. Well, let's move on here. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you also, we have a medic with 12 under him, and he never asked for anything, but he's really in need. So if you'd like to help us with him too, that'd be great. Just let us know. Thanks so much.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
It's time for interesting facts. I enjoy this part of the program. Okay, a 1,200-pound horse eats about 7 times its own weight each year. Did you know that? Wow. And something else that's interesting under the world of animals is a chimpanzee can learn to recognize itself in a mirror, but monkeys can't. I've all seen those small little Cornish game hens. I used to think it was a special kind of hen, but it says a Cornish game hen is really a young chicken, usually 5 to 6 weeks of age, that weighs no more than 2 pounds. It made me sad. I don't know if I'd ever eat a Cornish game now again. I don't eat baby animals normally. I know, everybody's got their weird hang-ups, though. A cow gives nearly 200,000 glasses of milk in her lifetime. A father sea catfish keeps the eggs of his young in his mouth until they are hatched. He will not eat until his young are born, which may take several weeks. Wouldn't you hate to be a female mackerel? She lays about 500,000 eggs at one time. A Hindu temple dedicated to the rat goddess Karni Mata in Dashnok, India, houses more than 20,000 rats. I know I don't want to go there. This is kind of interesting. If you know what a Holstein cow is, a Holstein spots are like a fingerprint or snowflake. No two cows have the same exact pattern of spots. And I just almost can't imagine this one. A newborn kangaroo is about 1 inch in length. That is teeny, 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 tiny. Wow. Polecat is not a cat. It is a nocturnal European weasel. A quarter of the horses in the U.S. died of a vast virus epidemic. A rat can last longer without water than a camel can. A single little brown bat can catch 1,200 mosquito-sized insects in just one. A woodpecker can peck 20 times a second. A zebra is white with black stripes. I always thought they were kind of equal, but I guess not. All clams start out as males. Some decide to become females at some point in their life. Wow. All pet hamsters are descended from a single female wild golden hamster found with a litter of 12 young in Syria in 1930. An adult lion's roar can be heard up to 5 miles away and warns off intruders or reunites scattered members of the pride. An albatross can sleep while it flies. It apparently dozes while cruising 5 miles per hour. That'd be really cool to be able to do that. An electric eel can produce a shock of up to 650 volts. That first medical discoveries will shock of the eel. An iguana can stay underwater for 28 minutes. Wow. And did you know that an ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain? Animal gestation periods. The shortest is the American possum, which bears its young 12 to 13 days after conception. Longest is the Asiatic elephant, taking 608 days, or just over 20 months. Nearly 50% fat, whale milk has around 10 times the fat content of human milk, which helps calves achieve some serious growth spurts, as much as 200 pounds per day. At the end of the Beatles songs, A Day in the Life, an ultrasonic whistle, audible only to dogs, was recorded by Paul McCartney for his Shetland sheepdog. No, beaver teeth are so sharp that Native Americans once used knife blade. Between 260 and 300 million turkeys are slaughtered annually in the United States, according to USDA statistics. Of these, approximately 45 million are killed for Thanksgiving and 22 million are killed for Christmas. Bird eggs come in a wide variety of sizes. The largest egg from a living bird belongs to the ostrich. It is more than 2,000 times larger than the smallest bird egg, which is produced by the hummingbird. Ostrich eggs are about 7.1 inches long, 5.5 inches wide, and typically weigh 2.7 pounds. This one, hummingbird eggs are half an inch long, half an inch, a third of an inch wide, and weigh half a gram or less than 1/50th of an ounce. Brown eggs come from hens with red feathers and red earlobes. White eggs come from hens with white feathers and white earlobes. Shell color is determined by the breed of hen and has no effect on quality, nutrients, or flavor. By feeding hens certain dyes, they can be made to lay eggs with vari-colored yolks. You know that camel milk does not curdle, and camels have 3 eyelids to protect themselves from cat scratch disease, a benign but sometimes painful disease. Short duration is caused by a bacillus. Despite its name, the disease can be transmitted by many kinds of scratches besides those of cats. Catfish have 100,000 taste buds. Wow. Why would they eat that stink bait then? Ugh. Catnip can affect lions and tigers as well as house cats. It excites them because it contains a chemical that resembles an excretion of the dominant female's urine. Certain frogs can be frozen solid, then thawed, and they continue to live. Cheetahs make a chirping sound that is much like a bird's chirp or a dog's yelp. The sound is so intense it can be heard a mile away. Wow. Hojo, the first gorilla born in captivity, was born at the Columbus Zoo in Ohio in 1956 and weighed 3¼ pounds. Crocodiles swallow large stones that stay permanently in their bellies. It's been suggested these are used for ballast and diving. That's one thing I never liked to be around was crocodiles or alligators. Despite its reputation for being finicky, the average cat consumes about 127,750 calories a year, nearly 28 times its own weight in food, and the same amount again in liquids. In case you were wondering, cats cannot survive on a vegetarian diet. Developed in Egypt about 5,000 years ago, the greyhound breed was known before the 9th century in England, where it was bred by aristocrats to hunt such games as hares. No, dolphins sleep at night just below the surface of the water. They frequently rise to the surface for air. Domesticated turkeys, farm raised, cannot fly. Wild turkeys can fly for short distances at up to 55 miles per hour. Wild turkeys are also fast on the ground, running at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. Those dragonflies you see if you ever go fishing are one of the fastest insects, flying 50 to 60 miles per hour. During World War II, the first bomb dropped on Berlin by the Allies killed the only elephant in the Berlin. Elephant tusks grow throughout an elephant's life and can weigh more than 200 pounds. Among Asian elephants, only the male have tusks. Both sexes of African elephants have tusks. And elephants can communicate using sounds that are below the human hearing range between 14 and 35 hertz. Every year, 1.5 billion is spent on pet food. This is 4 times the amount spent on baby food. Felix the cat. I used to like that show. The first cartoon character to ever have been made into a balloon for a parade. Female chickens or hens need about 24 to 26 hours to produce one egg. 30 minutes later, they start the process all over again. In addition to the half-hour rest, some hens rest every 3 to 5 days and others rest every 10 days. German Shepherds bite humans more than any other breed of dog. Goldfish lose their color if they are kept in dim light or are placed in a body of running water, such as a shark fin. Hippos have killed more than 400 people in Africa, more than any. Howler monkeys are the noisiest land animals. Their calls can be heard over 2 miles away. Hummingbirds are the smallest birds, so tiny that one of their enemies is an insect, the praying mantis. Wow. In its entire lifetime, the average worker bee produces 1/12 teaspoon of honey. Infant beavers are called kittens. Did you know that? I did. It takes 35 to 65 minks to produce the average mink coat. The numbers for other types of fur coats: fur 15, fox 15 to 25, ermine 150, and chinchilla 62. It takes a lobster approximately 7 years to grow to be 1 pound. Wonder how long lobsters live. It takes 40 minutes to hard boil an ostrich egg. Large kangaroos cover more than 30 feet with each. Lions are the only truly social cat species. Usually, every female in pride, ranging from 5 to 30 individuals, is closely related. Lovebirds are small parakeets who live in pairs. Male and female lovebirds look alike, but most other male birds have brighter colors than the female. I love the cardinals, and I'm always happy to see a female cardinal, but the males are the pretty red ones. The females are brownish looking. Mockingbirds can imitate any sound from a squeaking door to a cat meowing. I've had mockingbirds before. They're kind of fun. Moles are able to tunnel through 300 feet of earth in it. Well-known forms of animals' life ever to inhabit the earth, only about 10% still exist today. Did you know, on average, pigs live for about 15 years? Parrots, most famous of all talking birds, rarely acquire a vocabulary of more than 20 words. However, Timothy greys and African greys have been known to carry vocabularies in excess of 100 words. Pet parrots can eat virtually any common people food except for chocolate and avocados. Both of these are highly toxic to the parrot and can be fatal. You know that pigs, walruses, and light-colored horses and prairie dogs are not dogs. A prairie dog is a kind of rodent. Rats can't. Sharks apparently are the only animals that never get sick. As far as is known, they are immune to every known disease, including cancer. Snails produce a colorless, sticky discharge that forms a protective carpet under them as they travel along. The discharge is so effective that they can crawl along the edge of a razor without cutting themselves. Snakes are immune to their own poison. Some baby giraffes are more than 6 feet tall. Swans are the only bird with penises. Stuck up on me. First buffalo ever born in captivity was born at Park Zoo in 1884. The American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA, was formed in 1866. The anaconda, one of the world's largest snakes, gives birth to its young instead of laying. The blood of mammals is red, the blood of insects is yellow, and the blood of lobsters is blue. Bloodhound is the only animal whose evidence is admissible in an American. The blue whale is the loudest animal on Earth. All of the blue whale reaches levels up to 188 decibels. This extraordinary loud whistle can be heard for hundreds of miles underwater. The second loudest animal on the bones of a pigeon weigh less than its feather. I had a baby pigeon once. It was so cute. Calories burned daily by the sled dogs running in Alaska's annual Iditarod race, averaging 10,000. The 1,149-mile race commemorates the 1905 when 20 volunteer mushers relayed medicine from Anchorage to Nome to battle a children's diphtheria epidemic. The Canary Islands were not named for a bird called a canary. They were named of large dogs. The Latin name was Interesting. The cheetah is the only cat in the world that can't retract its claws. The elephant, as a symbol of the U.S. Republican Party, was originated by cartoonist Thomas Nast and was first presented in 1874. The expression "Three Dog Night" originated with the Eskimos. It means a very cold night, so cold that you have to bed down with 3 dogs to keep. First house rats recorded in America appeared in Boston in 1775. Appeared at all, but at least I don't have to have them. But still, they're yuck. The hummingbird is the only bird that can hover and fly straight up, down, or backward. The hummingbird, the loon, the swift, the kingfisher, and the grebe are all birds that cannot. The largest animal ever seen alive was 113.5 foot, 170-ton female blue whale. The largest bird egg in the world today is that of the ostrich. Ostrich eggs are 6 to 8 inches long. Because of their size and the thickness of their shells, they take 40 minutes to hard boil. The largest pig on record was a Polish dog named Big Bill, who weighed 2,552 pounds. Wow. The mouse is the most common mammal in the U.S. The name of the dog from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas is Max. The name of the dog on the Cracker Jack box is Bingo. The only dog to ever Egypt was Death. Poison arrow frog has enough poison to 1,200 people. The term Dog Days has nothing to do with dogs. It dates back to Roman times, when it was believed that Sirius, the dog star, added its heat to that of the sun from July 3rd to August 11th, creating exceptionally high temperatures. Romans called the period Carna Curlus, or Days of the Dogs. The turkey was named for what was wrongly thought to be its country of origin. The underside of a horse's hoof is called a frog. Know that? The frog peels off several times a year with new growth. The world record frog jump is 33 feet over the course of 3 consecutive leaps, achieved in May 1977 by a South African sharp-nosed frog. The world's smallest mammal is the bumblebee bat of Thailand, weighing less than a penny. There is no single cat called a panther. The name is commonly applied to the leopard, but it is also used to refer to the puma and the jaguar. Black panther is really a black leopard. Tigers have striped skin, not just. Unlike most fish, electric eels cannot get enough oxygen. Approximately every 5 minutes, they must surface to breathe or they will drown. Unlike most fish, they can swim both backwards and forwards. And did you know whales and dolphins can literally fall half asleep? Their brain hemispheres alternate sleeping so the animal. When a female horse and male donkey mate, the offspring is called a mule. But when a male horse and female donkey mate, the offspring is called a hinny. When the Black Death swept across England, one theory was that cats caused the plague. Thousands were slaughtered. Ironically, those that kept their cats were less affected because they kept their houses clear of the real culprits. Worldwide, goats provide people with more meat and milk than any other domestic. Tigers have striped skin, not just. Unlike most fish, electric eels cannot get enough oxygen. Approximately every 5 minutes, they must surface to breathe or they will drown. Unlike most fish, they can swim both backwards and forwards. And did you know whales and dolphins can literally fall half asleep? Their brain hemispheres alternate sleeping so the animal. When a female horse and male donkey mate, the offspring is called a mule. But when a male horse and female donkey mate, the offspring is called a hinny. When the Black Death swept across England, one theory was that cats caused the plague. Thousands were slaughtered. Ironically, those that kept their cats were less affected because they kept their houses clear of the real culprits. Worldwide, goats provide people with more meat and milk than any other domestic. Well, it's getting to be that time of the year where those chigger ticks and mosquitoes are going. People who don't live in the South or Midwest may not even know what I'm say chiggers. Well, it's getting to be that time of the year where those chigger ticks and mosquitoes are going. People who don't live in this may include respiratory support, intravenous fluids, and medications to reduce swelling in the brain. Southern states by no means are immune to tick-borne diseases. Arkansas, for example, has 4 known diseases caused by ticks that carry the pathogens. Years ago, when I lived in the Ozarks of Arkansas, I had a little dog who suddenly became paralyzed. I adored this little dog. I named her Pinky. So I was really concerned. Immediately, I took her to the vet. Gave her a shot of prednisone with a cautionary statement to me to watch her and see if she showed any improvement at all. As time went by, well, actually 24 hours, she had not shown improvement. I cried as I loved this little dog and was so concerned about her outcome. The next day, I took her to the vet. With heavy heart, I told him she had not improved. Paused a bit. Then suddenly, he checked her shoulder blades. There was a tick there.
it out. Shortly thereafter, she was up and walking, and nothing was bothering her. He said he had heard of it, and it popped in his mind. Sure enough, that's what caused the condition. I've read of a person who was so sick she lost a lot of weight and had to crawl to the bathroom from her bed. She was diagnosed with 4 or 5 major symptoms such as heart condition, multiple sclerosis, and others. As it turned out, it was a tick-carried disease. No place is immune to ticks, not even New York City. So if you have symptoms that you just can't understand, you might want to consider a disease carried by a tick. Mosquitoes. West Nile disease is something that we have. It's now a seasonal epidemic in North America, flaring up during the summer until the first frost. About 1 in 5 people who are infected will develop a fever with other symptoms. Less than 1% of infected people develop a serious, sometimes fatal, neurologic illness. As of January 17, 2017, a total of 47 states and the District of Columbia have reported West Nile virus infections in birds or mosquitoes in 2016. Overall, 2,038 cases of West Nile virus disease in people have been reported to CDC. Of these, 1,140, 56%, were classified as neuroinvasive disease, such as meningitis or encephalitis that we just talked about. And 898, meaning 898 people, 44%, classified as non-neuroinvasive disease. Severe symptoms in a few people. Less than 1% of people who are infected will develop a serious neurologic illness, such as encephalitis or meningitis, which is inflammation again. The symptoms of neurologic illness can include headache, high fever, neck will be stiff, disorientation, coma, tremors, seizures, or paralysis. That's what happened to my little Pinky. She was paralyzed by the tick. Serious illness can occur in people of any age. However, people over 60 years of age are the greatest risk for severe. People with certain medical conditions such as cancer, diabetes, hypertension, kidney disease, and people who have received organ transplants are also at greater risk for serious illness. Recovery from severe disease may take several weeks or months. Some of the neurologic effects may be permanent. About 10% of people who develop neurologic infection due to West Nile virus will die. Treatments. No vaccine or specific antiviral treatments for West Nile virus infection are available. Over-the-counter pain relievers can be used to reduce fever and relieve some symptoms. In severe cases, patients often need to be hospitalized to receive supportive treatment, such as intravenous fluids, pain medication, and nursing care. To prevent bites from all 3 types of these insects, it's recommended that you wear long sleeves. They can lead to impetigo, which is a bacterial infection. Impetigo is one of the most common skin infections in children. It's contagious. It can be spread to others through close contact or by sharing towels, sheets, clothing, toys, or other items. The gravest potential complication of impetigo is post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. That's a mouthful. What it means is it's a severe kidney disease, especially a certain part of your kidney, the part that filtrates everything that comes in and out of the urine and keeps the rest in your body that you need. That occurs during a strep infection is less than 1% of cases, mainly in children. Tick bites are another bite that can be potentially dangerous. In fact, they have become more dangerous now than when we were children, if you're my age. We have a changing ecology. There is more contact between humans and ticks now than when many of us were children. Also, our type of clothing has changed. We wear shorts and tank tops into woodlands where the ticks hang out. Suburbs have the landscape that ticks like to hang out in. When ticks take blood, they can pick up disease organisms from the animal that they bit before you, and then they pass them along to whoever they bite next, which just might be you. Doctors aren't always quick on the draw to test for tick-caused infections. Don't expect those. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have 15 specific diseases listed that are caused by ticks. Many of the worst conditions tend to be primarily in the Northeast and Upper Midwest. Colorado tick fever is one example of a disease that generally occurs in a different location, that being the Rocky Mountains. Another one that CDC is now warning about has spread to Pennsylvania. That is the tick that carried Powassan, otherwise known as POW. It's a virus infection that can impact the nervous system, memory, thinking, and balance. In some cases, it can cause death. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said it did kill a patient in Minnesota. Brain swelling from the virus is what caused her death, officials say. Pennsylvania has had one case. Others who have reported cases are Minnesota 20, New York 16, Wisconsin 15, Massachusetts 8, New Jersey 3, Maine 2, New Hampshire 1, and Virginia 1. The disease has been recognized in the United States, Canada, and Russia. All residents of and visitors to areas where the POW virus activity has been identified are at risk of infection. POW virus can infect the central nervous system and cause encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain, and meningitis, which is inflammation of membranes that surround the brain and spinal cord. Those membranes help protect your brain and spinal cord. Symptoms can include fever, headache, vomiting, weakness, confusion, loss of coordination, speech difficulties, and seizures. Approximately half of survivors have permanent neurological symptoms, such as recurrent headaches, muscle wasting, and memory. There are no vaccines or medicines to treat or prevent POW virus infection. Persons with severe POW illnesses often need to be hospitalized. Sleeves and long pants when you're out where the pest might be at. That includes any wooded area. Again, though, you can't protect yourself totally all the time because even in New York City, you could get a bite from a tick. They have moved in because the environment has changed so much. So the best you can do is try to protect yourself with long clothes and use spray if you're really going to be out in the wooded areas. Would recommend spray in that case, because even though some people say the DEET is a bad thing, that the ticks and chiggers and even the mosquitoes can cause, or at least as bad, if not worse. Good luck with those pests this summer.
Remember, you can contact me at Twitter. My handle is Flobo. Or you can email me at flo@KLRNradio, that has no spaces in between it, .com. So that's flo@KLRNradio.com with no spaces in KLRN and radio, please. Thank you much.
See you next Wednesday.